What's going on, everybody, and welcome back to the channel. My name is Bailey Kramer, and in today's video, I'm going to be giving you guys an introduction to midterm rentals. So let's go ahead and jump in. So there's really four main rental strategies you can have with a property, right? You can do a long-term rental, you can do a short-term rental, you can do a midterm rental, or you can do a hybrid doing a short-term and a midterm rental. Obviously, they all have their pros and cons. Long-term rentals, for example, well, as you probably know, long-term rental is where you rent out a property for typically a 1-year lease and you don't have to furnish it, right? It's kind of a lazy way to invest because once they're in there, you don't talk to them for a year and usually it's just very passive. But of course, it's not the most profitable strategy. Can you make money from long-term rentals? Absolutely. But it's not the most profitable strategy, especially in today's higher interest rates. It's even harder to make a higher cash and cash return doing a long-term rental. Then we have short-term rentals. Okay, this is like the classic vacation rental that rents out for 2 to 7 nights at a time. These can generate a lot of money. I have short-term rentals that I have owned and operated, and I also co-host short-term rentals. So I absolutely love short-term rentals. They, of course, do have their downside as well. They can be seasonal, they can be volatile, and they are a lot more management intensive than long-term rentals. Okay, and then of course, local laws and regulations can affect short-term rentals, and they could ban them in different cities, and that could be a little bit risky as well. And then we have midterm rentals. So a midterm rental is a property that is furnished, rented out for between 1 and 9 months at a time. It could be longer than 9 months, but the general range is between 1 and 9 months. The beauty about midterm rentals is they can generate the same amount or more money than short-term rentals. The leases are longer than short-term rentals, right? Because short-term rentals are just a couple nights. But with midterm rentals, 1 and 9 months at a time equals a lot less turnover, and they are a lot less management intensive than short-term rentals. Since these guests are going to be in your property for 1, 2, 3, 5, 9 months at a time, they almost have the mindset, shall I say, of a long-term tenant where they won't reach out to you as much, making it way less management intensive. The downside to midterm rental that I will say is that it takes more work to secure tenants. Okay, it does. It's not like on Airbnb where they just come to you. For midterm rentals, you have to put in a little bit more work. Now, that's the only thing. Once you get your tenant in and they're there for 6 months at a time or whatever it is, you're golden. But it does take work. And don't worry, I'm going to show you actually how to do this. And then the fourth, the hybrid strategy. This is something you'll hear me call the flexible stay strategy. It's basically a combination of short-term rentals and midterm rentals. So essentially what that actually means, like, how can you do both? Well, the way that I do it is when it's peak season, I'll do a short-term rental because that's where I'm going to maximize my cash flow. But during the off season, I will do a midterm rental because that's how I can maximize cash flow. That allows me to limit my downside and yield me the highest return as an investor. Okay, cool. So what this whole series is about, this is just one video in a long series I'm making for you guys. My whole goal is to help turn you guys into midterm rental and short-term rental pros, but you can use the hybrid strategy, aka what I call the flexible stay strategy. So let's talk about midterm rentals specifically for a second and go deeper on the topic. So we already mentioned midterm rentals are furnished properties 1 to 9 months at a time. Now, the biggest question I get is, Bailey, who do midterm rentals cater to? So let's talk about it. The most common ones that you're going to hear are insurance companies and travel nurses. So I'm going to go way deeper in another video on that, but I want to just lay out all who it caters to. So we have travel nurses, insurance companies, construction workers, okay, traveling construction crews, individuals with housing issues. So a lot of times that's to insurance companies when people have fires or floods at their house, relocating individuals and families. So these are people who maybe, let's just say, are selling their house is sold, they're buying a new one, but they need a place to stay for a month or two at a time. Okay, that's an example. Business travelers, academics and students. This could be also like traveling professors, seasonal workers, vacationers seeking longer stays. So this is a lot more prevalent in places like Arizona and Florida, where people might want to be snowbirds for a couple months and live in warm places. Government and military personnel and digital nomads. Okay, so this is just a short list of all the different possibilities who would actually need midterm housing. Now, I talked about some of the pros before, but I really want to dive into why I love midterm rentals. Number one, higher rental income. From what I've seen, all the rental strategies, because I've tried them all, I've done them all, midterm rentals provide the highest rental income in comparison as well with the lowest turnover rates, and it is the least management intensive. Okay. The hardest part is getting the tenant in place, which I'm going to show you how to actually do that. But once your tenant is in place, absolutely golden for 6 months, 9 months, however long they're going to stay. I like how the cash flow is stable. I like how regulations can't really affect midterm rentals because most cities and municipalities, their regulations are based off of stays that are less than 30 nights. The beauty of midterm rentals is they're longer than 30 days. So normally cities see these as just long-term rentals. Again, in the off season, you can maximize your cash flow. So even if you're in a pop-in tourist destination, most places still have off seasons. So you can still use a midterm rental strategy in literally any market. And it becomes more profitable than a short-term rental because there's less turnover. You're not paying for supplies like you are in every single short-term stay. So you're able to profit. Now I want to dive more into the cons because there are cons I want you to be aware of so I can tell you everything straight up front. First of all, you have to furnish the unit. So if you're used to doing a short-term rental, then it's the exact same thing, basically. And we have other videos talking about furnishing specifics, but same idea as furnishing a short-term rental. If you're from the long-term rental world and you're watching this video, know that, hey, you do have to furnish your property. That is going to cost money. It's going to be an upfront investment. So that's one con. The second thing is people book these stays more last minute. You cannot freak out if your property is. What I mean by this is if you're used to short-term rentals, right? You might have your calendar full for the next 3 months, right? Weekends here, week-longs here, all that stuff. When it comes to midterm rentals, it's not like that because you are essentially seeking basically 1 or 2 guests per year for your property, right? So it may take time to find that guest. Your property might be vacant for a week, okay? Or maybe even 2 weeks. And of course, the whole goal here is to limit how long your property is vacant for. And truthfully, my properties don't stay vacant for very long. And again, I'm going to show you all the strategies and my pricing strategy in this series of how I do it. But just know that is a risk. I do hear a lot of people freaking out. Oh my God, I don't have any bookings on my calendar. And then boom, all of a sudden they get a 6-month stay. Everything's steady and good. And that's just how it is. The downside's kind of an upside with that, but just want to be upfront. Number 3, if you rent to an insurance company, the family will likely tour the unit before signing a lease. So this is very different than Airbnb where, people like to hide a lot of things on Airbnb. They take really good photos and then hope that when the guest arrives, they don't say anything about the damaged door or whatever the thing might be. With insurance company bookings, it's different because a lot of times these families will actually want to tour the unit before they book it. So your property has to be legit. There's nothing to hide. This is full transparency. That should not be a problem. It's sad that it is a problem, but it should not be a problem. Full transparency is great. And if you have a great unit, people can tour it even better. And that'll be a huge upside for you. Number 4, your tenants will use the kitchen and everything. Sometimes Airbnbs, some people may rarely touch the oven, so more wear and tear. So I put this in here because it's true, but at the same time, I don't think it's a huge deal, but I want to just lay it all out there. Your tenants will be living in your property like they do at their house, right? So they're going to be using the kitchen a lot. They're going to be using everything a lot. So it could cause more wear and tear. Number 5, you pay for all utilities. Again, if you're used to having a short-term rental, this is totally normal. If you're used to having a long-term rental, maybe it is, maybe it isn't normal. But at the end of the day, you are paying for utilities for your midterm rental guests. You basically have to include it in your price. Could you charge the guests for it? Sure, but it's not a standard in the industry. The standard is that you, as the owner, pay for utilities. So that's how it is. So I want to lay out the cons, like I mentioned, but the pros 100% outweigh the cons. So why is now the best time to get into midterm rentals? Number 1, there's a huge need and not enough supply. Okay, truthfully speaking, in a lot of markets, the supply for midterm rentals is not even close to the demand. So there's a huge need for this. There being more and more restriction being placed on short-term rentals, which is causing a lot of investors to seek other ways to monetize their property. Hence why I'm making this whole video series for you guys. There will always be a demand for midterm rentals. This is not just a trend. I mentioned all the reasons before about why people actually need midterm rentals, and none of those are trends. Literally none of those are trends. All of those are here for the long. So what's your preference? Asking that question myself. My preference is picking either midterm rentals or doing the hybrid strategy, where I can pick a market where I can do a short-term rental and a midterm rental for that same price. So I like picking markets where I can also operate my property as a short-term rental in between stays. You can choose a market that has a high minimum night stay requirement, 30 night stays in certain markets. I don't personally recommend it. Okay. I don't like picking markets where I have to do a midterm. I like picking markets where I can choose based on the city's restrictions. Hey, I can do a short-term rental and I can do a midterm rental, and then I can do the combination of both to optimize and maximize my cash. All right, so now I want to show you guys some case studies of actual bookings that I've gotten. This is not to brag. I hope you guys can understand that by now, but these are just true case studies that I have actually got. So this is a booking that we got from an insurance company through Airbnb. This is a property that I co-host in North Carolina, and this property brought in about half of this amount, so brought in roughly $3,000 per month in the off season, running it as a short-term rental with multiple turnovers basically every weekend. But we got midterm rental stay. So we had this insurance company. You can see CRS Temporary Housing. It's one of the insurance companies I always tell people about. They booked for 47 nights and they paid almost $12,000. Now, just full transparency, 47 nights is not home run jackpot by any means. This person actually wanted to stay for longer. But unfortunately, the owner of this property, since I just coasted it, wanted to use it for their own personal pleasure. So we had to cut their stay short to 47 nights. But this one could have expanded multiple months, and it was $8,000 per month. So it's still a really great booking, considering that we typically book this property in the off season for $3,000 a month. We're now getting $8,000. Another case study is a property that I own personally. This is a travel nurse booking we got on Furnish Finder. This unit that this person booked typically rents for $650 a month. That's what the tenant was paying previous. And I signed this traveling nurse for $1,650 per month on a 6-month lease. So I'm nearly tripling the rent by using the strategy. And this is a triplex. So this is one unit in a triplex, which is why you might be thinking $650 a month. That's so low. Yeah, it's one unit in a triplex that I own. I have another unit where I did this exact same thing with. I'm going to do the same thing with a third unit once the tenant moves out. Another case study for you guys, another property that I own. This is an insurance company that booked in Indiana. The lead again came through CRS Temporary Housing. The property brought in $1,200 per month previously as a long-term rental, first bought it, but now it's bringing in $3,500 per month as a midterm rental. And here is the actual lease agreement I took a screenshot of, and they've actually extended a couple months already, more than what they signed for. So they signed for 3 months. They've already extended, I think, for another 2 or 3 months, month-to-month basis, and they're continuing to rent. So this isn't just a quick 30-night stay. This is a 6-month stay right now, $3,500 per month, which is pretty awesome. Okay, cool. So what's next? Now that you've got the basic overview, you've gotten a taste of what a midterm rental is, the hybrid strategy, why it's a no-brainer. You've seen a few case studies, so you can kind of understand some of this a little bit more. I'm going to be laying out the nuts and bolts, showing you guys literally everything you need to know about finding the best market, how to analyze properties, buying midterm rentals, furnishing the property, how to manage it like a pro, and everything in between. If there is any question that you guys have or any detail that I leave out that you guys have questions about, please leave it in the comments below. You can DM me on Instagram. My entire goal for this series is to give you guys everything. So if at any time you're like, he didn't answer this question, or I'm not sure about this, put it in the comment below. Check my other videos first, because I'm trying to answer every question. If I don't answer it, please let me know so I can help you guys out. And my only ask for you guys is if you get value out of this and you know someone who can also get value out of this video series, all I ask is that you share it with them. It's on YouTube, so it's free. And that's all I'm looking for. All right, that's all I got in this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.